7 p.m. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate y'all being here. One little short message before we get started is that in Mayor Bain's absence, I will be acting mayor tonight. So with that, we'll call the meeting to order, please. And so Karen, can you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember Byström.
Here.
Councilmember Munson.
Here.
Councilmember Valento.
Here.
And Acting Mayor Husnick.
Here. If able, please stand for a pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council members, we have an agenda before us. Anyone care to take a motion one way or the other on our agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next item on our agenda is our open forum, and this is an opportunity for the public to have 3 minutes at the podium to discuss anything they'd like to talk about. And Karen, do we have anybody on the list?
Do not have anyone on the
Okay, is there anybody here from the public who wishes to make a statement tonight? Okay, well then, going once, going twice? All right, we're going to move on to the item number 6, which is the recognition of sergeant promotions and swearing-in ceremony for the Forest Lake Police. Chief Peterson?
Acting Mayor Husnick and City Council members, good evening. Also, welcome to all of our guests who are here tonight to recognize 4 of our police officers for their accomplishments, 2 who have been promoted to sergeant, and 2 who have just been recently hired. There are 2 pivotal moments in a police officer's career. The first is when you are hired as a police officer and take the oath of office in front of your family, friends, and the community that you will serve. The second, after working as a police officer for numerous years, responding to thousands of calls, and attending hundreds of hours of training and advanced leadership courses, you have earned the promotion to sergeant. I would like to ask Sergeant Luke Hanegraaff and Sergeant Brent DeGroot to come up to the front of the room. It is extremely important for sergeants to understand the enormous impact they have on young officers. It is also critical for sergeants to realize the position they hold within a law enforcement agency. In simple terms, no law enforcement agency can function well without good sergeants. The sergeant's position demands strong leadership, self-confidence, management skills, and above all, an understanding of their influence upon their subordinates and the inner workings of the department. Sergeant Luke Hanegraaff and Sergeant Brent DeGroot have proven themselves as true leaders in our department. As police officers, and I am proud I had the opportunity to promote them to sergeant. Sergeant Luke Hanegraaff is assigned badge number 404, which is also the same badge number that his father, Ron Hanegraaff, wore when he worked at the Forest Lake Police Department from 1979 to 2009. No other officer has worn badge number 404 since Ron's retirement in June of 2009. Sergeant Brent DeGroot is assigned badge 407. He is the first sergeant with the Forest Lake Police Department to wear badge 407. I would like to welcome the family member of their choice to join us up here to pin their sergeant's badge onto their uniforms. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Luke Hanegraaff and Sergeant Brent DeGroat.
Congratulations.
Next, I would like to ask Officer Olivia Root and Officer Carson Johnson up to the front of the room. Those in law enforcement know that no police officer can truly be successful without the support of their family, friends, and coworkers. The long hours, the odd shifts, the missed holidays and birthdays can put quite the strain on even the strongest of families. Olivia and Carson, make sure you lean on your family, friends, and coworkers in good times and bad. They are there for you and will support you throughout your journey. Serving as a police officer today means facing adversity and overcoming increasing challenges. We ask more of our police officers on the street today than at any time in history. Policing is much more than simply investigating a crime and arresting those who commit crimes. It's providing counseling to families in distress. It's getting someone suffering mental health issues medical help. It's working out a civil dispute between neighbors and working with youth whether you're in schools or out in the community. Unlike 25 years ago, today we require our police officers to not only be experts in law enforcement, but also have the similar skill set as a psychologist, an attorney, or a community organizer. Now the time has come for you both to recite the oath of office in front of our city council, coworkers, family, friends, and community members. If there's a family member of your choice that you would like to join us up here to pin your badge on your uniform after you are sworn in, have them come up. And Acting Mayor Husnick, if you would do the honor of formally swearing in Officer Olivia Rood and Officer Carson Johnson.
I would be happy to do that, and we're going to invite the full council to come down, and if we could come in the front here, that'd be great. We're going to do this one at a time. Who wants to be first? You first. Okay. If you can just repeat after me.
I, Olivia Root,
Okay, do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of Minnesota,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer
and within and for the city of Forest Lake and state.
within the city of Forest Lake and the state.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll give you a second for your family to come. Okay. Carson,
I, Carson Johnson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer
and within and for the city of Forest Lake and state.
and within and for the city of Forest Lake and the state.
Congratulations. Thank you. Welcome aboard. the fun part of being on the council.
I want to
Okay.
thank you, Acting Mayor Husnick, and city council members for letting us and allowing us to recognize our officers, and we truly appreciate your support. For those of you who'd like to join us, we'll be heading upstairs for some refreshments, and we also have some photo opportunities for family and for the officers and sergeants. So,
Okay, so with that, I'd like to take about a minute or two to let folks get to their coffee or whatever you're going to have, and so we'll just wait until then. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks for all you guys do.
Okay.
Peter, that it's like, oh, I know, I get off the clock, your dedication to public service, you know? Throw a Marine and a puppy in there.
I appreciate it. I got it. I was going to ask if I wanted to.
We're kind of in the party spirit right at the moment, so we're going to let that.
Yeah, it's a big job. Yeah.
Really good family support, that's great. Okay, are we all set, folks? Sounds like everybody that was going out is out, so. Council members, item number 7 on our agenda is our consent agenda, and it's consent agenda 7A through H. Anybody care to make a motion on it, or?
Acting Mayor
Anything change?
Husnick, I vote to approve consent agenda items A through H.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion? Aye. Anyone opposed? No, motion carries. Our regular agenda item is on 8A, American Legion Post 225, request for the July 4th, 2023 fireworks funding. Pat Solovich, first first vice commander of the American Legion Post 225. Pat, if you want to come up to the podium. And then, but in the meantime, Karen, I want to ask Karen a couple things about what's happened in the past and what we, because we had to skip one year and that kind of thing. So Karen, would you go ahead and talk about that?
You bet. I'll give you a summary. So Pat's here because he had sent an email in to me asking, well, how does he approach council? What does he need to do for the 4th of July? And asking for additional contributions for the event. And so he submitted an email. I told him submit an email, something in writing, and what's in the memo is a summary of the email that Pat had submitted to me. So it highlights the various things that the American Legion has contributed. You can see on the list that they have been the main provider for the 4th of July community event, which includes a parade, kids carnival, food vendors, fireworks display. And that's the big reason why they're here, is for the fireworks display. The city has made an annual contribution to cover some of the expenses for that. And so Pat can explain more about the cost of the fireworks display. But a little history on this. 3 years ago, so it would have been at the November 25th, 2019 council meeting is when we had last saw the American Legion for request on funding towards the fireworks. At that time, the city was contributing $10,000 to the fireworks display. The American Legion came in and asked for an increase to $12,000 for the next 3 years. So that would have brought us to this point in time. In 2020, there was no fireworks display because of COVID. We didn't have a parade, we didn't do all those things. So they have received that additional funding for 2 years, that increased to $12,000. At that time, they had also asked for a one-time contribution of $1,000 towards the purchase of safety buoys to place around the barge, and then $3,000 for barge replacement. So we had provided that at that time as well. So now Pat is here. The request is for an additional increase in the annual contribution from $12,000 to $15,000 annually. I don't know how long, Pat can explain how long of a term he wants that to be. That wasn't part of the request, like a time frame on that, so he can talk about that. And so I'll just let Pat take over.
Okay,
With
thanks,
the rest
Ken.
of
I
it?
really appreciate it, because I wanted to get a full,
Is there any other questions, or?
no, I just wanted to know exactly where we were at. I wanted everybody to know how that went about, so.
Sure.
Pat, go ahead and give us,
Thank you, Karen. That pretty much summarizes very well everything that I had sent in. And thanks, Karen, for making it rather easy for me. The request really for an additional $3,000 to get it up to the city's portion of 15, which will be matched by Post 225, is, I believe, reasonable and straightforward. Last year's fireworks display ran about 23 to 25 minutes. And our goal has long been, we'd like a full 30-minute show. And pyrotechnics, like everything else, has gone up in price. It basically boils down to $1,000 a minute for a quality program. So that is our goal. And as mentioned by Karen, our fundraising at the Legion and the way that a private club like ours and all the community programs that we support, fundraising is critically important to us, and COVID really, really negatively impacted our fundraising abilities. No silent auctions, no spaghetti feeds, all of the things that came with that kind of a shutdown, and indeed the parade and the festivities themselves in 2020. We did come back for fun in 21 was our theme, and then even more so last year with an even longer parade, red, white, and blue in 2022, and more to come this summer. So basically, that's my request for tonight. In addition, what's also critical for the Post is what day of the week the 4th of July falls on. This coming summer now, it will be on a Tuesday. So the request that we would put in for the city, we will start our 5-day process on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday parade and fireworks Tuesday evening on the 4th. And with that, if there's any questions from anyone, that is Post 225's request.
okay. Thanks, Pat. Any questions, council members?
No, just, just a couple comments. I generally really support this. This is a really an important event for our local community. And we have received incredible feedback on the fireworks the last couple of years. The shows have been just phenomenal, and the opportunity to extend that out a little bit, I think is a positive as well. I'm wondering if we can't, and this maybe isn't something we can take care of tonight, but moving forward, consider a longer-term agreement with the Legion. Maybe a 3 to 5 year agreement. That way we would avoid, having the annual presentation. They would be able to count on, what we're able to do with them. But avoid that annual presentation to council and the related staff time. That kind of, goes along with that. I think that would really demonstrate the city's commitment to the event and the efforts of the Legion.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And, like 15 times 3, times a 3-year commitment would make our budget process a little easier also. So I'd be all.
Yes,
be a problem as well.
okay.
Karen, the question I have, the 12,000 we didn't use,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be we could somehow fit that in?
I guess,
Well, the 12,000 we
Figure that out
didn't use, well, wait, the 12,000 we didn't use was a general fund, so it just,
Oh, it just kind of,
just
okay.
reallocates, so it's not there technically.
Kathy, I guess I would support your suggestion in this particular case. I'm not sure how the other council members feel about that, but might make, Pat's job a little easier. Of course, we're not worried about that.
I don't mind coming every year, but if I didn't have to, that would be okay too.
Yeah, the problem is, my opinion is going to be a little bit jaded, being I'm a life member of the Legion, so.
I think planning longer term, I think is also beneficial to the city as
yeah,
well.
that's good.
I agree.
Okay, well then, would you like to make a motion to that effect, Kathy?
Yeah, we're just gonna make a motion
Or do we have to have that on a
approve
separate
the
meeting?
15.
Peter, are we doing?
Acting Member Husnick, council members, in front of you tonight is a request for a 1-year increase of
okay.
3,000. There's no reason why you couldn't approve a longer term, but we don't have an agreement in front of you to approve, and we would need that in an agreement, and then
Okay.
it can be used as a budgeting document in the future.
So it's another meeting is what, or subject of another
It
meeting?
could be on a consent agenda at the next
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I recognize that we have to approve
Okay.
just the 1 year tonight, but would love to see us
Okay.
move forward with a longer-term agreement.
Thanks, Peter.
Outstanding. Thank you so much.
So we'd have to have a motion and a second to move forward on that, on the request for tonight.
Acting Mayor Husnick, I'll make a motion to provide an increase to the American Legion for their 4th of July fireworks from $12,000 annually to $15,000 annually this year.
For 2023, correct?
Excuse me, yes,
yeah.
2023.
Just want
Thank
to
you.
verify that.
And I'll second.
Any other comments? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you,
Good
council.
evening. Item 8B, Resolution 1024-2201, the right-of-way vacation for Kings Forest Hills Addition Alley located west of North Shore Circle. And Abby, were you going to help us out with that?
Yes, Acting Mayor Husnick. I'm just bringing up on the screen here, the city has received a request from Mark Blade, who owns a property in the Kings Forest Hill neighborhood. So the property that's shown in blue here is Mr. Blade's property. It's a split parcel, and as part of the original plat of the Kings Forest Hill neighborhood, there's an alley that was platted right through from North Shore Circle around. We've got this alley going through. Mr. Blade has requested the city consider vacating that portion of the alley adjacent to his property. The review of these types of requests are governed by state statute. A state statute essentially finds that there isn't a public use for the property, that there's no public interest in the property. If the property is vacated as requested by Mr. Blade, and I'm just gonna pull up really quick again, another map here showing kind of what would happen for Mr. Blade's property. It would fill in that boundary between the two parcels that he owns, thereby making a single legal conforming lot of record. Right now, he's got 2 non-conforming lots that don't really produce a buildable site in any way. When we looked at this request, there was a sewer line project that had occurred in this area in the summer. The city did have a sewer line, an active sewer line that ran through this alley that has been since abandoned. There is no public purpose for utilities in this area. Oftentimes, we're looking at whether or not there could be a potential future use, some sort of public use in the future. This is a 15-foot wide alley. It's pretty limited, and given the fact that it really only would result in kind of running the circle, or a shortcut between the circle, there is no anticipation of ever having a public purpose for this property in the future. We did receive one public comment since the time of your packet. That was from a Peter Grosskopf, who's indicated he is not in favor of that. I believe you have a copy of that on the dais tonight for your review. Staff, however, has reviewed it, and we believe that there's no public purpose for this parcel of land, and we would recommend you consider vacation of the parcel. That being said, because this process is governed by state statute, it does require a 4/5 vote. So the council would need to vote tonight. All four of you would need to vote in approval of it. The council also has the option to table this. This is not subject to the 60-day review requirement that most of our zoning applications are subject to. So if you wanted more time, we wanted staff to look into other matters, we have time to do that as well.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you very much. Before we go to the public hearing portion, anyone have a comment from the council? I think it's kind of a straightforward request. So with that, we are holding a public hearing tonight on this particular issue. And so we will open that up now. Is there anyone here interested in speaking to this subject? Was there anybody signed up at all, Karen? No?
Still blank, and I don't have anybody online.
Okay, thank you. Anyone?
Can I just note one more thing for the record?
Sure.
As part of our notification process, we do have to notify people of the proposed vacation. We were advised by our legal counsel that would include anybody within the Kings Forest Hills plat. It is a very large platted area. We did receive numerous phone calls about the alley vacation, so all of the parcels that are up on the screen there tonight would have been notified of this plat. There are other alleys in the neighborhood. This little portion right here is what is being affected tonight.
Right. Thank you, Abby.
You're welcome.
Was one more call for anyone for public hearing? Okay. We will now close the public hearing and continue on. Okay, one thing, the comment I want to make about this, and we had this conversation, is that as far as the council is concerned, our consideration is whether or not we need that little lot going across there. And according to staff, we don't need it. So it would be something we could certainly vacate. However, if someone has any issues one way or the other, or still wants answers, then we should look for a continuation of this particular subject. But if you're pretty strong, committed to one way or the other on this issue, we'd like to hear it.
Acting Mayor Husnick, I think Mr. Grosskopf made some very legitimate points. But I see the benefit to Mr. Blade of allowing the vacation, of this particular right-of-way. As I take a look at his property, there isn't a whole lot that, he's able to do, with that piece of property, given the current circumstances. And it seems to make sense to me to allow that to become a conforming lot at this point.
Yeah, but again, I mean, we just want to make sure that we're just considering the fact of whether or not we need that little strip of land there. And what I'm hearing from council, not council, but from staff, is that the city no longer wants to have anything to do with it. So that's really our only consideration. I'd be leaning to certainly make sure that we go ahead with the resolution. That's just my opinion. But if anybody has any issues with that and would like to have it continued, then we would rather do that, because we need a 4 vote, one or the other, yea or nay.
Can staff comment on kind of the narrowness of this road from kind of a safety perspective? Would there be any need for us to utilize that from, he talks about that road being utilized quite a bit, potentially having some parking in that area from time to time. From a public safety perspective, is there any value in the city holding on to that?
I would maybe defer to the Public Works Director, Adams. I know that we had been using it for a sanitary sewer line for quite some time. It had been available to the city for additional uses. We hadn't acted on any of those other public uses.
Okay.
We also reviewed it for drainage, if there'd be a issue of drainage needing that for ponding or anything like that, and there's really just no beneficial use for that.
Okay.
Maybe different if it was going towards the lake for an access that way, but it's kind of it was there for that force main, and now that force main is not there anymore.
Okay.
Annie, you have any thoughts on it? I'm trying to get a feel for everybody here.
Yeah, looking at how the request is that city council is required to find there's no relationship to the alley, and it seems that there's no relationship to it.
Acting Mayor Husnick, I would agree if there's not a use for the city, it seems sort of like a no-brainer then for me.
Yeah. Well, if anyone's ready to make a motion, I'd entertain a motion on.
Acting Mayor Hustic, I adopt a resolution number 10-24-22-21, or 01. Oh boy, I should
Yeah.
probably start over on that.
Go ahead.
I move to
Sorry.
adopt resolution number 10-24-22-01, a resolution vacating portion of a public alley located within the city of Forest Lake.
I'll second it. So we have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Excuse me, Acting Mayor, who seconded the motion?
I did.
So, thank you.
Yep. Okay, 8C, Local Street Improvement Project, authorized plans and specifications. Ryan, are you up, I guess?
Acting Mayor, City Council, tonight as part of the city's
We'll give everybody a chance to. Sorry, folks. Sorry, Ryan. Just give it another second here. Okay, go ahead, please.
Acting Mayor, City Council, as part of the city's pavement management and capital improvement plans, tonight we request that the City Council authorize preparation of plans and specifications for the 2023 local street improvement project. The city has budgeted $1,175,000 for those improvements in 2023, which will come from Fund 211, Fund 631, Fund 632. Also within the agenda item is the anticipated schedule of the project with the potential bid opening in early February. Attached to the memo is the location of the streets that are planned for the 2023 local street improvement project. With that, we request tonight that the City Council authorize preparation of plans and specification for bids for the 2023 local street improvement project.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Just trying to get kind of tuned in here. All right. Council members, any comments about, I just got tuned in here, so sorry about that. Sorry about the delay. Anyone have any comments or questions about any of this? Well, what we're looking for is just an authorization to move forward with plans.
This has been on the radar for a while.
It has,
Yes.
and long overdue. Well, I'd entertain a motion to move this forward.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 local street improvement project to authorize preparation of plans and specifications.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further comments? All in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8D, Police Department 2023 vehicle purchases. Rick? He's probably still celebrating, huh?
Mayor, member of the council, I'm gonna take this for Rick.
Sure.
Forest Lake PD is requesting the council to approve their request to purchase 3 replacement squad cars. Per the replacement policy, when a patrol vehicle hits 100,000 miles, it's due for replacement. Forest Lake PD currently has 3 cars that are approaching that. In the 2023 CIP budget, they have 3 cars that are included in the CIP for up to $50,000 each for replacement. Unfortunately, with COVID, this whole ordering process has really changed, and manufacturers, which typically in the past for police and fire vehicles, you'd have a couple windows that would open each year for ordering. That is no longer the case. So for their vehicles that they're looking for both Ford and Chevy, that window for replacement is actually late November, early December. But these vehicles are included in the 2023 CIP. So that creates a little bit of an issue because that budget hasn't been approved. And so they're looking for permission to order them now, even though we're not in 2023. They verified with the vendors that if those vehicles are ordered and they want to cancel an order, it will not cost the city any penalty for canceling that order in 2023. So the real question at this time is, will there be an ordering window in 2023? I can tell you from vehicles that we have in the CIP for 2022 for fire, we had them approved in 2021. It's now in the middle of 2022, and we haven't had a window open for ordering. So we're looking at vehicles that potentially will go into 2023 that were approved in 2021. So that's the question is, can they order them now?
Okay.
It's really unlikely that if we don't place the order in this time period, we will not have new squad cars next year.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest concern.
And it should be, it's a concern for us as well.
I mean, this is, you know, not our normal practice, but under the circumstances, the delay, it appears it's gonna potentially create some pretty major problems.
Correct, and if, like the fire chief said, if for some reason the budget changes between now and January 1st and we have to do something different, being that these squads are in such demand, canceling it would not be any impact on us. Somebody else would pick those things up in a heartbeat, so.
So basically, we're just trying to get our foot in the door.
We are just trying to get our name on the order list so that we have new squad cars next year.
And historically, when we've had public safety equipment, you know, in the plan, you know, it's not something we can do without or really negotiate. I mean, you need what you need for your public safety.
Yeah, if you let these vehicles go further than the 100,000 miles, your maintenance costs go up, your breakdowns go up. It's just not really a great idea.
Acting Mayor Husnick, are you ready for a motion?
I am. I was just looking at one little thing here, but the staff recommendation is certainly in their favor, so I would entertain a motion. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve staff to sign purchase orders in 2022 for the purchase of 3 vehicles for the Forest Lakes Police Department's use consistent with the current proposed 2023 Police Capital Improvement Plan.
I'll second.
Okay, any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. 8E, the Belts Park Professional Services Agreement with Bolton and Mink. Abby, I guess you're up on this one?
Yes, thank you. At your last regularly scheduled meeting, you had received a request to enter into contract with Bolton and Mink to develop final construction drawings and construction management for the Belts Park development. As staff had advised you, it was a slightly modified plan from 2 phases to 3 to be able to accommodate full park development in the budget constraints, time constraints, those sorts of things. At that time, the council elected to table consideration of that agreement. You asked to discuss it at your last workshop, which you did, and the following night we brought that, so last Tuesday night, we brought that plan to the Parks Commission as well to gain some additional input from the Parks Commission. After discussion at the Parks Commission, they did recommend the council enter into agreement with Bolton and Mink for the 3-phase plan. Beyond that, there isn't much update that staff has. The Parks Commission did make some recommended changes to the master plan. Those haven't been addressed in what is before you tonight. We figured we would discuss those as we finalize those construction drawings, but really the proposal for you tonight is based on the master plan that was presented to the city in January. So staff would recommend you enter into agreement with Bolton and Mink for the professional services for the Belts Park final design and construction administration.
Thank you, Abby. Any questions or comments for Abby?
Abby, at the Parks, Trails, and Lakes Commission meeting, you mentioned the fence was a line item on the master plan. Is that not?
That is not true. There is no fence, perimeter fence proposed. The city would be taking out the perimeter fence with the exception of the fence along the west property line, right directly adjacent to the residential properties. We'd keep that in place.
Okay.
The master plan doesn't call for a new fence to be put in, so that is not budgeted. Irrigation for the ballpark is budgeted, despite whatever those programming efforts for that ball field would be eventually.
Okay.
Staff believes that even a community ball field that isn't a part of a rec program should still have a good higher quality standard associated with it.
Well, I tend to agree with the Parks, Trails, and Lakes Commission on that fence. I think it's kind of an important, those are fairly busy streets right there, east, west, north, south, with little ones kind of running around. So I do tend to, agree with that and would really appreciate administration taking another look at that.
We can certainly ask for it as an add-on in our bids and see what those prices come in at. I think a lot of us had a lot of sticker shock when we really were starting to dig into Belts Park, and those prices could go up, those prices could go down. We're looking at the ways that we can save costs. Right now, I think it's just as we start to fine-tooth our plans and get those bids back, we don't know what that added fencing cost would be.
I want it on the record so that we don't lose sight of it. Because I do think it's an important element. I know there was a little bit of disagreement about the proposal, but and just kind of the presentation and the way things that were presented at the Parks, Trails, and Lakes Commission meeting. But I think generally they're in agreement, maybe not so much about the cadence of the plan, but the plan itself. They really worked tremendously hard as a commission on the development of this plan, and I think they've really done outstanding work. Both Commissioner Ramseth and Commissioner Miller, indicated you know, during that meeting, that it wasn't a perfect implementation, but that they were thrilled that this was finally moving forward. They've been working on this for such a long time and really deferred to the experts, you know, in city administration and our engineer and public works on the actual work that needed to be done here. And, you know, they didn't necessarily anticipate all of that kind of grading and those sorts of things that are now part of the plan and kind of slowing things down a little bit, but they're necessary, you know, to have within the plan. So, so both Commissioner Ramseth and Commissioner Miller, you know, were really in support of moving forward, as was the majority of the Parks, Trails, and Lakes Commission.
Yes, I mean, we're just working on some plans that may change a little bit along the way, so that's kind of what we're looking at here, so.
I think one of their biggest concerns was the placement of the build of the park pavilion. They wanted that to happen much earlier, right, in kind of in that cadence of things, but to a degree, it is what it is. You know, how that needs to happen is what it is, and that is also going to be, you know, that's going to be a pretty expensive element of this, so I think we need time, you know, to be able to take a look at how that's going to be funded as well. And there's some dollars there, but,
Yep,
you know,
there's gonna be
not a
some
complete
funding
package.
issues, you bet, yep.
Are we ready for a motion?
I am,
Okay.
you bet.
I may make a motion to approve the agreement for professional services between the City of Forest Lake and Bolton and Mink for the final design and construction administration for the planned improvements at Belts Park.
And I'll second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other further comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now we're down to item 8F, the State of Minnesota DNR Outdoor Recreation Grant Agreement. Abby, you're gonna.
Yep, additionally associated with the development of Belts Park, the city has been awarded a $300,000 outdoor recreation grant that is required to be matched by the city. That is specifically for the development of the park, the playground, the building, really everything that we had anticipated in that first phase. Even though we've realigned this in a 3 kind of year funding stream, that we would still meet our grant obligations by having the playground equipment and pavilion put in the spring of June, or this by June of 2024. So tonight before you is an agreement with the state of Minnesota for the use of those funds. If the council is favorable, it would be a motion to approve the state of Minnesota DNR outdoor recreation grant agreement.
Is this like a reimbursement type grant? I mean, that's what I'm kind of understanding
Yep.
about. So, okay.
Yep, so we would pay as we go as part of our
Right.
project, and then we would submit for reimbursement afterwards.
Okay, I know that's how state grants work with the airport, so.
Yeah.
Okay, any comments or questions about that?
Personally, not a fan of leaving money on the table, so
Yeah.
I fully
Yeah.
support, you know, acceptance of this. I did want to make a comment, though, since we're kind of talking about, you know, how this is going to be funded. I just wanted to publicly acknowledge a generous donation that's coming from the Rotary as well.
Yes.
The Forest Lake Rotary as well. That's been a long time coming. The fundraising was done many, many years ago, and I think they're going to be excited to know that it's finally coming to fruition as well. So with that, I make a motion that we approve the State of Minnesota grant agreement between the City of Forest Lake and the State of Minnesota, accepting a grant in the amount of $300,000 for improvements at Belts Park.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
And the motion carries. That ends our regular regular agenda items this evening, and now we're going to move to item number 9, which is discussion. And is there anything that you guys want to talk about?
No, we have no discussion items tonight.
All right, we'll move on to staff updates then, please. Ryan, we'll start with you, sir.
Acting Mayor, City Council, just a friendly reminder, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday, November 1st, we have our public engagement meeting for Highway 97, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. in the upstairs community room, so please spread the word on that. And also, just to make sure you guys are aware of, as it's kind of gone quiet, we're rerunning some of this stuff on city's social media platforms, the water efficiency grant that we've obtained. So with that, the rebates that are offered, if you're on public water, you have to be on public water supply. That's where the money comes from, right? So there's a rebate offer of $250 for washing machines, $100 for toilets, $200 for residential dishwashers, $200 for irrigation controllers, and $100 for irrigation sprinkler body replacements. So they have to meet the criteria of that water efficiency sense, all the labeling stuff that's on that, stuff that meets these criteria too. So that information is on our city's website or will be posted here shortly. Kim and Kevin have been working hard to get that stuff updated and kind of do another blast on that. But if you don't want to leave money on the table, I need you guys to help promote this.
There you go.
Because this is our third time being successful with this, and we do leave money on the table because it just doesn't get out to some people that you would think would be all over this, especially with, we went all in this time. In the past, we've done just washing machines and toilets. Then the second time we just did irrigation. Now this time we've opened it up to everything, plus now adding a residential dishwasher too. So these things are very important because if you think of an older household that's using so much water per capita or people in the household, and if we bring in some water efficient appliances, and we can cut their water usage in that household in half, that only helps the expensive infrastructure we have to invest in later. So help spread the word. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think it's a kind of a win-win for the residents.
Oh,
I
it
mean,
is.
they're gonna save some money on their water usage and they're getting a rebate on the upgrade. So, it really seems to be a win-win for them.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it very much. Any other questions for Ryan? Okay. Dave, you got anything for us tonight?
Just to let you and residents know, the compost site is now open 4 days a week, and it was absolutely crazy this weekend, so.
Oh, I bet it was.
Yeah, it was probably the most cars I've seen, or the biggest pile of leaves come Monday morning that I've seen since that place has been open down there. So their residents are definitely using it, and we'll continue open till Wednesday before Thanksgiving is the last day, or until we get snow. So hopefully it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
There you go. Thanks, David. Anybody have any more questions for Dave?
Yeah, I have a question,
Sure.
Dave. I did receive an inquiry from a resident about big trucks driving into the compost station with larger logs and larger brush piles. Is that part of our development, kind of residential? I guess my question is twofold. Is there some policy that we have against those big trucks coming in? And if we don't, what's happening there, I guess?
So our agreement with the contractor who comes in and chips the pile, he continues to do it for free if we let him have 3 select contractors come in and bring their bigger logs so he can get bigger wood chips when he chips up our brush.
Okay.
So
It's not costing us any extra money then.
if we didn't allow him in, then you start charging us to chip our pile.
Okay.
So it's kind of an agreement we have with him that our compost attendant knows the 3 companies that can come in and dump in there, and then he'll continue to chip for free. So that was kind of our negotiation there. Otherwise, there's some compost sites that are paying $4, $5, $6 a yard to chip compost, and for us, that'd be 50 to 75 grand that we'd have to pay extra. So this is keeping it free just by allowing some contractors to come in there. So our policy hasn't changed what we accept, it's just allowing certain contractors in there. So it does get confusing. You see a bigger company in, but the city's aware of it and the compost attendant's aware of it. So everybody there knows, at least staff and the compost attendant knows who's coming in and who's
Great.
not. So,
Sounds like a good deal to me.
yep.
Well, thank you,
So,
thank you. You
Was there anything
explained it
else?
far better than I could have, so I appreciate it. Now, if I need to explain it, I can just go back and watch the tape.
Anyone else for questions or comments? Peter, we're going to pick on you next, sir.
No updates this evening.
Okay, thank you. And Peter?
No
Patrick?
updates.
Okay, and
No updates from
no
finance.
updates, okay. Kim?
No updates here either, thank
Okay.
you.
Al?
No updates.
All right, so we got through that table, okay. Abby, have any more updates?
Just a couple. I wanted to let the council know that I've been reviewing all of the land use development review application procedures and processes and really trying to refine them so that they are just a little more user-friendly for our residents, our developers. I was specifically asked by one of you to just share that we reviewed the fence permit review process. We had about 12 or 14 steps to process a fence permit. We got it down to less than a handful. And so those are some of the things that take some time. We do have our new planner on, which really helps, I think, just kind of have new, fresh eyes looking at these systems to really look at how have we over-engineered them? Can we make it a little bit easier for us, but also for our residents? I also wanted to just let you know that the Planning Commission has nearly finalized some of their discussions on the MXR1 zoning district. That's the low to medium density future land use area. The conversation started about a year ago. We'll be a little bit delayed in bringing something to the city council because we're also discussing some compatible land uses in the agricultural district. That was also a comp plan initiative. So we're looking at things like the potential addition of accessory dwelling units or maybe some of those commercial businesses that might be compatible in the agricultural district. Just wanted to let you know about that. And then even though development and the housing market's kind of slowed a little bit, we are still working at any time with between 3 and 6 residential subdivision developers. They're all different. They're all at different stages of where they're at. It doesn't look like there's a lot that's moving very quickly. But I do think that we're still going to continue to see some of that residential planning for when that market maybe turns back around.
Thank you, Abby. One comment I want to make that you just mentioned the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission lost one of their members here not too long ago, Mike Keene. He served the city for several years as Planning Commission member. I want to make sure that everybody kind of remembers his hard work, and we appreciate what he did for our city. So.
Yes.
Any other questions for Abby or comments? Okay. Dan, I want to put you next.
Acting Mayor, members of council, just one update tonight. I'll be down at MinCar on Wednesday, which is the Minnesota Commercial Real Estate Expo, meeting with commercial real estate brokers from across the state and from the metro area, promoting the city of Forest Lake. So I'll be down in Minneapolis at that expo, telling everybody how great Forest Lake is and hopefully getting some additional interest out here. So
Okay.
be down there on Wednesday. That's all I have.
Sounds good, Dan. Thank you. Any questions for Dan? Comment? Karen?
Thank you. I do not have any comments.
No other comments?
No.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to council updates. So we'll start with Kelly.
No other updates this evening.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, you have anything for us?
As I mentioned earlier, I attended the Parks, Trails, and Lakes Commission meeting last week, and I did provide a little bit of an update on the Belts discussion. There was also discussion around the Shadow Creek Parkland dedication recommendation, taking a look at placement of a proposed park and its proximity to other parks in the area. So there was a decision to choose the money over the actual land dedication. And then some discussion around a bench dedication program in the city, more to come on that. And then the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Master Plan, we received an update on that. And there's some great work and a report coming on that I'm really excited to see. And then we also discussed the Arts in the Park concert series and some great hometown talent that's going to be present next summer. So.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Councilmember Valento, updates for us tonight.
I do. Forest Lake got an award. I went to the Comfort Lake Forest Lake Watershed District State of the Watershed at the end of September. They gave out 3 awards, Forest Lake being one. And Forest Lake was picked for the award because of the Enhanced Street Sweeper Program, which they may note is an excellent cost-benefit analysis and public partnership at work. So, figured I'd give this to
Fantastic.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Put up somewhere. Yay, Forest Lake.
That it?
Yep, that's
Okay.
it.
And I'm sorry to say, I do not have any updates tonight myself. I've been a couple weeks here, so anyways, that ends our agenda for this evening, so unless there are any other comments or questions, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any other comments? All right. All in favor of the motion to adjourn?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.